Little did I realise, as the Air Canada A340 started its approach to Toronto, I had just flown over the very spot where I would end up doing Cqww Worldwide 2004. That spot in the vast Canadian countryside is known as Leech Lake. It is situated just north of Lake Simcoe that is seen here. But all this was going to be news to me, as I was still hoping that some semblance of the Zone 2 group would be making the trek up to northern Quebec. On arrival Toronto, it's clear that the majority of the Zone 2 group had to pull out due to a variety of personal reasons. So it was down to a few of the Toronto Zone 2 stalwarts to put a multi-single station on the air for the period of the contest. Let's meet the team. Here is Ted, VA3TSG. Now it was Ted that drove me up to West Caqww in 2003. Here is Bob, VE3SRE. Now Bob would prefer to be up at Lake Oskopee, miles from anywhere. And here's Rick, VE3VFT, who likes to go swimming in the Rupert River. And then there's me, Paul, G3SXE, who likes to go climbing slippery ladders out in the Canadian boonies. Oh yes, and the last two characters, Mr. Cannabeer, but he's drunk at the moment so I can't show you him, and then there's Mr. H. Puck, but he's feeling holy, so we'll have a look at him a bit later in this video. So where is it we're going? We better have a look at the map to make sure we don't get lost. So here's Toronto on the northern shore of Lake Ontario. Somewhere in there is Highway 400 that heads north up to Barrie, where we turn on to Highway 11 for Aurelia and Cravenshurst. At Bracebridge we turn right onto the Fraserburgh Road, and that's where the story really starts. This is Leech Lake and Rick's lakeside frontage, all very picturesque, all very pretty. But look at those trees, surely we can do something with those. And as for that water, what a takeoff. I wonder which direction that is. We'll just have to find out. Rick's plot must be at least 100 metres deep and rises very steeply up to the road. Here you can see part of the cottage that's going to be our home for the next 5 nights. An antenna plan was soon put together whereby the HF antennas, that's for 20, 15 and 10, were placed on the higher ground between the cottage and the road. Antennas for 40 and 80 were placed in the area nearer the lake shore. That meant long runs of coax for those two antennas. Fortunately, we had brought along enough coax for that, and for erecting another antenna for 20 meters right at the water's edge. So where are all these antennas? The first one that we're likely to spot is the one for 15 meters. The white wire. It's in there somewhere. "15 meters. Ah, there we are. The next one, the largest of the group, is for 20 meters. You have the two verticals separated by approximately 33 feet. All the verticals were left to dangle so that the ends could either be lengthened or shortened to bring the antenna to resonance at the required part of each band. Here we see the end of one of the 20-meter band verticals. It's literally inches off the ground and is one of the high voltage ends of this antenna. So any passing raccoon or skunk is in for a hefty shock tonight. Here is the 10-meter feed point. All three half-square antennas were fed with coax at one of the corners, the low impedance point. Balance were not required, as the feed point was a near 50 ohm match. It was the first time that I'd used the half-square design. A lot of Canadian radio hams speak highly of them. During the contest, these antennas proved to be quite directional. But we had to move the line of the 20-meter antenna by about 10 degrees to work into Northern Europe. After all that work, it's time to meet the next member of the team, Mr. Cqww. Fortunately, our German friend isn't drunk yet, but it won't be long before he has to be replaced many times over. When he eventually runs out, we will have to visit his Canadian relative, who lives over in Cqww Springs. Before we can meet the Cqww Springs contingent, we have some more antenna work to do. It looks as if Ted has gone fishing, but in fact he's admiring the 20-meter vertical that he's just put up at the water's edge. To bring this antenna to resonance in the middle of the band, we had to extend it to well over 17 foot. We put this down to the diameter of the aluminium tubing and that it is well clear of the trees. A long copper pipe was connected as part of the earthing and put into the bed of the lake. Additionally, 4 radials were added and spread out over the bank. The takeoff over the lake was to the southwest, so we soon had contacts rolling in from California, the Pacific and New Zealand. Ted deserves to look pleased with himself.